You've said it your whole life, at dinner tables, in pews, at gravesides, or in those desperate moments when nothing else would come. Our Father, who art in heaven. The words feel eternal, untouchable, divine. But what if the prayer you've spoken since childhood is incomplete? What if the ending you've been taught, the one whispered for centuries, was never spoken by Jesus at all? Between the upper room and the printed page, something vanished. A line was cut, not by time but by intention. You were given a fragment and told it was whole. Tonight we'll uncover the missing piece, not as history, but as remembrance. Because this prayer was never meant to end with silence. It was meant to bring heaven and earth full circle. And that circle was broken. Chapter 1. The Cut Line. Beneath the sands of Nag Hammadi, a profound discovery unfolded in 1945, shifting our understanding of ancient spirituality and early Christian teachings. Imagine unearthing texts that the Church had attempted to erase, wisdom that has lingered in shadows for centuries. Among these were not only lost Gospels, but also fragments of the Lord's Prayer that stand in stark contrast to what we know today. What if I told you that the phrase we recite so frequently, "For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever," was a later addition? This revelation sends ripples through our collective consciousness, encouraging us to question the foundations of our faith. The earliest manuscripts, composed in Aramaic and Greek, unveil a different narrative, one that strips away the grandeur traditionally associated with the prayer. Instead of an exaltation fit for royalty, the original ending exudes intimacy and connection. Picture this, a simple yet profound assertion. For yours is the breath that moves through all things, and the light that remembers itself in me. This isn't just poetic language, it's spiritual technology. It serves as a reminder of our innate connection to the universe and to one another. We are not merely subjects in a vast kingdom, rather, we're all part of an intimate web, sharing a singular breath, an energy that flows through every living thing. Consider how this shifts your perspective. When you recite this prayer or reflect on its meanings, do you feel the difference? The juxtaposition of a distant, royal deity versus a close, loving presence brings warmth and belonging into our spiritual practice. It beckons us to recognize that divinity is not just lofty ideals, but is grounded in the everyday experience of life itself. This deeper understanding invites us to engage with spiritual practices in a way that becomes personal rather than institutional. Instead of a petition to a distant God, we are reminded of the breath connecting us, a breath that both inspires and consoles, conveying the essence of love and interconnectedness. As we delve into the layers of this cut line, we find not only Jesus' teachings, but also a potential pathway for transforming our spiritual lives, bridging the eternal with the intimate. Chapter 2. The Erasure. As Christianity emerged as the dominant religion within the Roman Empire, something profoundly transformative began to unfold. The teachings of Jesus, which celebrated a mystical and inward journey, fundamentally aimed at providing individuals with a direct connection to the divine. This intimate relationship, however, posed a significant threat to a burgeoning ecclesiastical structure that relied on hierarchy and obedience. Imagine a time when spirituality was personal and free-flowing, accessible to anyone willing to turn inwards. It was a space of discovery, where every whisper of prayer brought forth recognition of the divine within ourselves. However, as the influence of the Church grew, this radical accessibility became perilous for an institution that thrived on the delineation of power. Those at the top needed intermediaries to mediate between the faithful and God. Thus emerged a system rife with priests, prescribed rituals, and sacraments designed to maintain ecclesiastical control over the spiritual experience. With that control came the subtle, yet profound alteration of language and intention. Take, for instance, the common conclusion of many prayers, the word Amen, a term that marks the closure of a prayer It signals an ending, creating a definitive separation between the seeker and the divine presence. When you exclaim, "Amen," you're sealing off the conversation, locking the door just before the true awakening can take place. In many ways, it's akin to finishing a book just before the climax, leaving one in a state of perpetual longing for what could have been. For 2 millennia, this subtle shift has echoed through the halls of spirituality. Countless individuals find themselves praying, pouring out their hearts in pursuit of connection, yet regularly tripping over this almost invisible barrier, a prayer that stops just shy of that liberating moment of realization, where one could fully grasp that the divine has always been a breath away. In this light, our spiritual practices seem less about communion and more about compliance, as we navigate the labyrinth of belief systems crafted by human hands. In considering this erosion of an innate spiritual freedom, it's crucial to ask ourselves, what might we reclaim if we dared to look beyond the confines of Amen? What if we could embrace a continuous dialogue with the divine, opening ourselves up to a more profound, life-changing connection? This journey towards reclamation beckons us to dismantle the invisible walls that have held us captive for so long, inviting us back into the richness of a relationship with a living, breathing God. Chapter 3. The Surviving Code. In the arid landscapes of Egypt and Syria, deep in the heart of the desert, a profound transformation was taking place. These early Christian mystics, known as the Desert Fathers, were not mere scholars confined within the walls of a library. No, they ventured out into isolation, seeking a radical encounter with God. Here, in simplicity and silence, they unearthed a sacred rhythm to life, a code of survival that transcended the written word. Imagine a moment when everything around you fades away, and the only sound is your breath, in and out. This was the essence of their practice. They understood that prayer wasn't just a series of words to be recited. It was a living, breathing exchange that connected them to the divine presence. One mystic beautifully articulated this, saying, "The one who prays without ceasing breathes God." That sentiment speaks volumes. It suggests that prayer is less about performing rituals and more about attuning ourselves to a deeper reality. In times of uncertainty, when our own lives feel chaotic, we can draw inspiration from the Desert Fathers. They found in their solitude a profound awareness. Every breath they took was a reminder of God's presence around and within them. It's fascinating to think that these teachings didn't survive in textbooks or doctrines, but rather in the very fabric of human experience, in the way they interacted with the world through their awareness and presence. Let's reflect on our own lives. How often do we get caught up in the hustle, in worries about the future or regrets over the past? In the midst of all that noise, it's easy to overlook the divine pulse of our existence, to forget that every moment holds the potential for sacred connection. The Desert Fathers knew the secret. They embraced silence and solitude to listen and inhale the divine, training their spirits to exhale distractions and illusions that cloud the mind. And here's the essence of their practice. The last line of the Lord's Prayer, the whispered truth shared among them, wasn't merely a conclusion, it was a breath itself, an invitation to unity with God. Every silence wrapped around that sacred instruction was filled with intention. In those hidden monasteries, it wasn't just a mantra, it was a lived experience. They embodied the sacred truth that each breath had a purpose. This brings us to a vital question. How can we reclaim that awareness in our daily lives? What if we began each day by taking a moment to simply breathe, to center ourselves in that divine presence? With every breath, we can remind ourselves of our connection to something greater, to transform our mundane routines into a sacred practice of awareness and presence. As we delve deeper into this chapter on the Surviving Code, we'll explore how these ancient practices can manifest in our contemporary lives, offering us the tools to breathe in peace while exhaling fear. Let's discover together how each breath can be a step closer to not just surviving, but thriving in our spiritual journey. Chapter 4. The Inner Decoding. As we dive into the inner decoding of the Lord's Prayer, it's essential to realize that this isn't simply a set of religious instructions. It's a beautifully woven map guiding us toward awakening. Each line reflects a journey, illustrating how divine light descends into our everyday human experience. This perspective opens a door to deeper understanding, one that resonates even in our modern lives. Take the phrase, "Our Father who art in heaven." In Aramaic, we find Abun Debwashmaya, which translates to source of the breath of life. Imagine that. This isn't merely addressing a distant deity residing in the clouds. Instead, it suggests a profound connection to the essence that breathes life into every moment. It invites us to acknowledge our own inherent divinity, allowing us to see ourselves not as separate from this source, but as integral parts of an expansive consciousness. Reflect on how often we feel disconnected in our daily lives, scurrying through routines, unaware of the sacred breath coursing through us. Now, consider the line, "Give us this day our daily bread." In its Aramaic original, lakma encompasses not just the physical sustenance we think of as bread, but also the understanding we seek in life. This plea transcends mere survival. It's a profound request for illumination, a craving for wisdom and insight that nurtures our soul. Think about how many times you have longed for clarity in decision-making, or simply felt lost in the chaos. This phrase encourages us to seek deeper meaning in our daily experiences, to ask not only for what feeds our bodies, but also for what nourishes our minds and hearts. Then we arrive at, "Deliver us from evil." This line often invokes fear, or images of dark forces lurking around us. Yet, in the deeper context, it's really about asking for release from forgetfulness. It's a reminder of who we truly are, divine beings momentarily obscured by the chaos of life. When we forget our essence, we become entangled in negativity and despair. This prayer calls us back to our true identity, urging us to remember that our core is love, light, and understanding. Each step in this prayer is an invitation to awaken, to remember the infinite potential within us. It beckons us not just to recite words, but to embody the essence of them in our lives. As we continue our exploration, let this dialogue unfold in your heart, helping you navigate toward greater awareness and connection. It's a journey we all can relate to, pausing to remember our truest selves amidst the noise and distractions of the world. Chapter 5. The Lost Line. Restored. As we dive into the hidden words that bridge ancient wisdom and modern understanding, a remarkable pattern emerges when we compare the fragments from Nag Hammadi with early oral traditions. These sideline texts, often dismissed, whisper secrets that many of us have been craving to hear. When pieced together, they reveal that one of the most profound prayers we know is in fact incomplete, a puzzle missing its final piece. So what does that missing piece say? The restored final line not only reclaims the prayer, but also transforms it into a living testament that transcends dogma. It speaks to a universal experience, an essence that goes beyond ritual and reaches deep into the breath of life itself. The final line reads, "For yours is the spirit and the light, forever breathing through me." At first glance, it seems simple, almost mundane, but in its simplicity lies radical profundity. This line invites us to remember something incredibly essential, the same breath that hovered over the waters in Genesis, that divine breath that sparked creation, is within us now. It challenges us to look inward, realizing that the light of Christ isn't a distant beacon above us, but rather a flame glowing within our very being. Imagine how that realization could shift your perspective. It reminds us that we are intertwined with the divine, that we are, in every moment, breathing in the same spirit that breathed life into the universe. The prayer doesn't conclude. Instead, it persists, creating a sacred circuit that connects the Creator and all creation. It's a beautiful reclamation, encapsulating the idea that we are part of a greater whole. In our busy lives, we often forget this profound connection. We chase the light externally, seeking validation and fulfillment outside ourselves. But the restored prayer gently nudges us back, urging us to realize that the divinity we search for is not found in distant altars or lofty ideals. It's intrinsic, woven into our very breath. As you hold this thought, take a moment to breathe deeply. Feel that breath, the spirit and the light, flowing within you. Each inhale is a reminder of your place in this divine tapestry, and each exhale sends out that light into the world. This is where transformation begins, where the sacred and the mundane become indistinguishable. By restoring this lost line, we don't just revive a prayer, we awaken a movement, a return to union, where the divine becomes inseparable from us. In recognizing this truth, we prepare the ground for a richer, more meaningful relationship with ourselves and the world around us. Chapter 6. The Return of the Word. In Chapter 6, we dive deep into the transformative power of speaking the restored prayer, not as an act of religion, but as a journey back to our origins. Imagine standing there, the words echoing not just in the air, but in the very essence of who you are. This isn't about rituals or dogma. It's about awakening that ancient knowledge within your soul, a knowledge that transcends time and space. Picture it. God is not a distant ruler perched on a throne, but the breath that animates your life, the pulse that connects you to every living thing. This realization has historically invoked fear. Just think about it. If you come to understand that you hold an intimate connection with the divine, that you can tap into this source without intermediaries, the traditional structures begin to feel threatened. They rely on control, and there's no controlling someone who knows that they are the temple, that the sacred exists within. When the prayer becomes the key, doors open not only to knowledge, but to a profound sense of empowerment. You discover that the kingdom doesn't hover above in the clouds, waiting for a select few. No, it reveals itself within you, in the moments you take to breathe, to feel, to connect. Jesus, with his radical message, never erected barriers. He devoted his life to dismantling them. The Lord's Prayer isn't just a set of well-known lines. It's meant to be a living bridge, a conduit through which heaven descends into our breath as our breath ascends back to heaven. In this exchange, we find that sacred rhythm, fulfilling the promise that our intrinsic connection to the divine is always within reach, waiting to be acknowledged and embraced. This understanding might just turn your perception of spirituality on its head. It's a journey back home where you uncover the sacred lies just a breath away. Chapter 7. Final Activation. Now take a moment to breathe. Allow yourself to feel that life-giving air filling your lungs. This essential breath, shared among all living beings, from the tiniest insect to the grandest tree, is the same essence that connects us throughout time and space. It's easy to forget this interconnectedness when life gets busy, when worries cloud our minds. But here, now, we can ground ourselves in this timeless cycle of life. Reflect for a moment. The prayer you've been navigating doesn't conclude with a simple Amen. That's only the beginning. It was always intended to awaken something deeper within you, to stir a sense of awareness that transcends words. Recognize that it's an echo of the truth. For yours is the Spirit and the light, forever breathing through me. This isn't just a phrase. It's a reminder that every breath you take draws you closer to the divine. As you embrace this awareness, imagine a vast and radiant space opening within you, as if heaven is lifting the veil of separation. You begin to dissolve the barriers between yourself and the universe. You realize profoundly that you are not waiting for the light to illuminate your path. Instead, you are the light, an embodiment of that eternal wisdom, remembering your essence, igniting your spirit with every inhalation. This sweet realization isn't about seeking external validation or divine intervention. It's about embodying the truth that you've always known. In this moment of clarity, you understand that this journey is less about the accumulation of knowledge or language. It's fundamentally about remembrance, the kind that transcends thought and reaches deep into your soul. As you connect with the light within you, visualize your spirit intertwining with that of the universe. Feel the warmth and vibrancy of this union. This is your return, not solely captured through spoken words, but through the quiet knowing of who you truly are. You stand transformed, a beacon of light, radiating love, connection, and awareness into the world around you. Carry this remembrance with you as you step back into your daily life. Let it guide your thoughts, your actions, and your interactions. The final activation is not an endpoint, but an invitation to continue this journey in every moment, illuminating the path for yourself and others. If this teaching stirs something deep within you, that feeling of a prayer left unfinished, know this: you're remembering. The missing line was always alive in you. The next time you recite the Lord's Prayer, don't let it end. Allow it to return. As you breathe in and out, feel that connection restore. In this moment, you'll realize the Father has always been here. The light never faded, and the Spirit never ceased to flow through you. You were never alone. You were just waiting to remember who you truly are.